Do the same thing to do the quiz, right? Grab one of the legal boxes to pass all legals. So in the beginning of the period, if there's one over here, you guys have to be sitting in different places of the room. If you don't mind, you have to read for yourself at the end. All right, let's do this really quick.
Wait, you said to make 2 columns. Why?
Yeah, one to mark the ones how many I asked, and then the one to mark how many of them you would have gotten right. Because I want you to keep track.
Let's write my name on it.
It doesn't matter. I don't go to sigils that don't have names. I'm not there sigils.
Well, you should.
But you don't get. It's not good. You don't get legals. Gabby, what scientist? Gabriela Tavares. What scientist talked about the Earth going through gradual changes throughout time? Is it Hutton? Thomas Hutton. And that's not Thomas. Well, it was James Hutton, I think this is his name. Gradualism. Right? So mark that one wrong. There's another guy. No, Liel was not gradualism. Liel was, what was Liel? Person that has no name. Vijay. What was Liel? Don't know, right, Vijay? Why don't you know Vijay? You didn't have time to study, right? Matthew Reese. No? I asked the question.
What was the question?
Yes?
Liel was the one that he knew that the Earth was very old because it took a long time for the rocks to form.
Yes, that too. But what's his theory? Very good. Give her a leg. Demand your leg if you participated. Yes. Huh? Uniformitarianism. Which, I can't say the word. But I'm sure you can relate, right? It's like a mouthful. But it basically means that the Earth is old, and you can tell that it's old because you can watch the processes that take a very long time to happen, and these processes always happen at the same rate. Alright? What about there's an economist in the mix there? Talk about ecology, talk about carrying capacity. Yeah? Malthus. Okay? Who was the guy that started a whole binomial nomenclature business, Gabriela Diaz thing? Starts with an L? Yes? Not L. Yes? Carolus Linnaeus. Yes. Alright, Miss Iris, who was the major legal? Who was the, and if you are the legal giver, do a good job. Okay? And who was the scientist that introduced the idea that only the species, only the members of the species that have the most favorable characteristics survive to pass on those traits, and that's how things evolve? Yeah, but who was the scientist? Lamarck? No, that's not Lamarck. Lamarck introduced evolution, period, but the scientist is not that. Felipe Abadano, where are you? Who is it? You have to look up Charles Darwin. They would know we had a problem. Alright, keep keeping track of the ones you have gotten wrong, right? Okay, Octavio Calvo. How about the first guy to talk about like evolution, talk about the giraffe's neck stretching because they used it a lot? Lamarck, very good. Ilaria, give me a piece of evidence that supports evolution. One thing. Fossil records, very good. Rosa Aleman. What's something else that supports evolution? Anatomy. What is it called when structures are the same because two ancestors share them? Any? Homologous structures. Very good. Isabella Milanes, where are you? Okay. What is it called when a structure that we have but we don't longer has to fulfill any purpose, but it's still there because selection has not chosen against it yet?
That is
vestigial structures. Very good. All right. How about like the wings of a bird and the wings of a bat? They're not actually homologous. The common ancestor does not share them, but evolve in both sides because of common pressure. What is that called, Diego? Starts with like A. Yes? Analogous? Analogous. Very good. Give the man a legal. All right. So you see, count it. Would you have passed this quiz?
What's 5 out of 4? I got 1 right.
I asked like 20 questions. How could you say 5 out of 4? Of course.
I got 9.
Well, I don't think I
Asked 10.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I asked like 9 or 10 questions.
I got 9.
Huh?
I got 9. Like, not in total.
How many did you get right?
I got 3 right. I'll say like
How many did you get right?
4 right.
I got
Good for you. Alright, and you?
1 out of 10.
Congratulations! And you? That's not so bad. What did you get right, Leonardo? That's right.
8 out of
But,
10.
okay,
5 out of 10.
okay. We are only as strong as our weakest. Now, I don't want to throw a little social Darwinism on you, but I will. And I'll tell you this much. Real life is natural selection. You don't want to be at the bottom of the food chain. If you're number 27 in here, talking to you. You're going extinct, my friend. Okay? What? All right. One activity.
I like this one. Yo, the music was perfect too. I love this one. It's a perfect music too. You know that one teacher like until you
Yes.
Did you train this period to go and then they all?
Yes, I did.
Nice. Are you
You that was the hardest.
So-
It was awesome.
They had a safe face.
You are sick.
You
should have asked someone that doesn't so Maddie.
I asked my sister.
She was serious.
You should ask, what happened to you when you were a child? All right, guys. Hey, take out your notebooks. All right, whenever you want to write this down, these are the answers for GLQ questions. Remember I told you in the test. This is the FRQ, right? So if you study these questions, you can do well in the FRQ. Let's talk about it. No, don't throw it all out. What are you doing? Keep it as a memory of your failures of success. All right.
already know I did it wrong.
Throw it in the big bin. There's no room on this one anymore. Number 1, hey, quiet. That means silence. Hilaria, what's the point of science? What is it? To find out about what's going on. That's like the news. Be specific. A scientist would be. You have to be specific. Whatever you're learning about. No, I'm actually in science. What's the point of it? Why do we have science class? We've been doing it for years already. What is it all about? This whole science learning thing. Just the Earth?
There is no right answer.
It's not wrong. Now, you're learning about the Earth, but what else are you learning about? There are so many topics. What are we really learning about? No, that's not for that. That's not for that. Yes? It's Elias' question. Put your hands down. Yes. Shh. Quiet. She's doing it right. To learn about what? What do we learn about science? Pretty much. Do we learn about the Holocaust and the Cold War and all that stuff? Do we learn about verb tenses and right ways to write things down? Not really. Although in science there's a lot of history and you have to write a lot to be a scientist. You still have to do math to do science. In fact, math exists because of science. And really, it's because of science that a lot of things have to be written if you really think about it. Right? And so, really, every other subject is really science-based. But that's a different story. What I'm actually saying is, what is science for? It's the study of what? With an N, maybe? Something with an N? Some people refer to it as mother. Mother N. Mother Nature. Very good, Mother Nature. We are only as strong as we can, so I don't want to stay here forever if you guys to get the question right. But yes, it's the study of nature. Right? Why do we study the nature? What's the point? Why waste time learning all these things, Michael?
So that we know how everything works. In our
Good. We want to know how things work. Why? Why? What's the use of knowing how things work? Rosa, what do you think? So you can survive? Interesting. Yes, but so when you know how things work, you know how it has happened in the past. You become able to predict the future and perhaps even do what in the future? Change it, control it. Life, the study of science is about power. Understand? It's about power. It's about learning how to control things. Technology is all about that. Being able to do things better, make things easier, control things. And the ironic part actually is it's a vicious cycle. You see, the more technology, the more we learn, the more we develop. Technology is based on that learning. The better learning that we do, the better technology that we have, the better we can use them to learn more, which keeps the cycle feeding. And the engine that drives the cycle is imagination. Asking questions about things that we don't know about. So really, imagination is more important than knowledge, like Einstein said. Because you can think of science or knowledge. Think about it. We know so many things that we used to know. Who's 15 years old here? Okay, none of you is 15 years old. One of you is 15 years old. You are now, before you're 15, learning something that Darwin came up with when he was in his 40s. Right? And you know about things that people didn't even know hundreds of years ago. Do you think Greeks were talking about these things? No. Not really. Even the scholar ones, they didn't really know these things. They knew a lot of things, but not all these things. The human knowledge as a society is advancing like a timeline. Where is the end? That's right. It's like infinite. Like the infinity sign I have on my back. That's why I have it there. Right? I have my tattoo of an infinity sign. There's a lot of reasons why I put it there. It's my favorite sign. Because I think this quest is infinite. It's a quest that will never end. We will never know everything there is to know about everything there is to know. And in fact, this is another thing Einstein said, the more we know, the bigger the line gets, the more we realize that the line is long. And the further we realize we are from the goal. So it's almost as the breadth of knowledge increases, we realize we have a smaller and smaller chunk of the whole. And then there is what we know as a society, and then there is the unknown. And then the gap that leads knowledge above towards the unknown is imagination. Imagination is where we ask about the unknown and try to grasp at the unknown. And imagine, like Jules Verne imagined, going under the water or into the stars. And then there we do it. Jules Verne's imagination is somewhere now in the line of knowledge. Are you with me? I'm saying. Einstein imagined that the universe is a geodesic like the Earth that can curve. So that things don't fall at a straight rate, but they actually curve. Gravity curves the space-time. Not just space, but time itself. Time goes by slower close to gravity. Space curves because of gravity. And things are not falling at all. They're rolling down a gravity well. And based on the equations that he came up with that's how we have GPSs that work. And so many other things that you have no idea. Einstein's imagination is GPS of today. Right? So, I imagine a time where we will not die, but keep living forever. Maybe in machines, maybe in biological entities that keep in thing. Sounds sacrilegious. It's just science. If you can imagine it, it possibly can be real. That's how I like to believe. That's why it's more powerful than knowledge. But knowledge gives us the power to control what we currently can do. But here's the thing about knowledge. It keeps changing. If we learn anything about science, is that as time goes by, what we thought we knew gets changed to something that we know better. The one thing we know that's true about science is that truth is transient. Including that one, perhaps. It's a paradox, right? So if you say there's no truth except that truth changes, then that in itself is something that could change. Paradox. But aside from these things, okay, that I'm talking about, very contrasted with the other view of one truth that governs all. Very contrast with the view that truth cannot never change. Now I'm talking about something that's not science. Science is not about that. Maybe there's power in that kind of belief, too. And yeah, certainly scientists believe as well. Scientists believe we have constructs, we have beliefs that we have, but scientists don't believe in evolution, though. Scientists don't believe in the knowledge. Not really. Scientists defend the knowledge with evidence, And in fact, we don't even try to prove things, we try to disprove them. We'll talk about that in a second. So science is not about knowing things so much as it is about discovering things and then controlling things and then keep pushing this envelope further and further. So, for me, and this is not a sermon, but for me, if there is a God, it's somewhere in that infinity we will never reach. So, for me, God is infinity. It's the thing that we never get to, no matter how close we get. But the thing is that yesterday's God is the astronaut of today stepping on the moon. Right? Yesterday's God is the cardiac surgeon that takes your heart out, makes it beat again, or replaces it with another one. That's fucking godly. I am serious. Or a neurosurgeon that separates two Siamese twins and then runs for president. That's godly right there. If you ask someone from the Greek times, that's a God, right? Or if I show someone, I built that dam, and the river now flows not more. Hoover Dam, I built that, I designed it, it's my invention. Right? What is God? God is just what we don't know. God is what we can't do. But that's just a matter of time. But since it's an infinite plan, we can also talk about the fact that eventually, even as we get there, we don't get there. So that's where the real God is, that infinity. And what that really means to me, that goes beyond what I have to actually teach you here. What it means to my life and how it affects my life, it's different what it means to me. But I like to think about this as an infinite regression. It's hard to think about infinity, that's why it's such a hard concept. But it's like this infinite place. That's where it is. But why do I bring this up? Because people of faith make sometimes, not always, not going to make generalizations, but a lot of people of faith make the grave mistake of discrediting things that science talks about, like evolution, without even knowing what it is. And that's where I draw the line between faith and science. See, I believe in a lot of things. I believe, for example, that none of you guys had the intention of shooting me this morning. I believe that every single one of you guys has the capacity to learn. I believe that every single one of you guys are here together to do amazing things, to learn awesome things. I believe in the safety of this room. I believe that I have the capacity to lead you to a place of higher knowledge. These are beliefs that I have. But these beliefs are not necessarily based on evidence. I never knew Michael before this year. He could be a psychopath for all I know. But this belief is based on the society I live in the life that I've lived in. I believe that I'm safe. But it's just a belief that could be contradicted by evidence in some other way. And when we feel unsafe, we start looking at other people because we start saying, we are unsafe, terrorists, oh my God, let's go attack them. Even though the border in Mexico is not protected and they can come in through there. I believe in a lot of things, yes. Right? But I also, as a scientist, I actually question everything, and that's the difference. Scientists don't believe in anything. Scientists believe in things because they're human, but they try to question everything. So in science, if there's one thing that's true, is that every truth can be questioned. One day, a student in the 8th grade, Einstein, sat there and thought about Newton's law of gravity, and things falling in a straight line towards the floor, and he says, I think that's right. Things don't fall down. Even something as dramatic as questioning gravity. And now we have GPSs. Right? Everything can be questioned. Very different from belief where nothing can be questioned. This is the truth. I have a problem with that though. I have a problem with being a blind person, touching the elephant and the side of it and saying, oh, it's like a wall. And then somebody else touches the legs and says, oh no, you're wrong, it's a column. Somebody else touches the trunk and says, it's kind of like this flimsy but rugged thing. Somebody else touches the tail and says, no, it is flimsy, but it's very thin, and it's actually very smooth, and there's a little hair on it. I don't know what it is. And then somebody else, and then they fight for 200,000 years to tell who was right about what they touched. All of them blind fools thinking they saw the whole. Well, they all only saw a part. How can you say, I have the truth? Do you know everything? How could you have the truth? No one knows everything. Not even the most knowledgeable of people. Not even the entire humanity. We're still in the line of infinity, right? So how could we know so little about everything? And the more we learn, the more we realize there's more to learn. So how can we say we know everything? How can we say anything is true? And that's actually very confusing about science, because you think, if it is true, okay, then it shouldn't change, right? But like science is always changing. You're always getting new information, like I just said. So how can you trust it? How can you trust this thing that's always changing? You might as well not trust it, because it's always changing. But that's the thing about it. The truth we currently have is based on years of research from hundreds of scientists, is the best truth we have. And like a truth that someone just said it, and it might or might not be truth. It's been replicated. Someone just said something in June of this year. Someone said, and by the time somebody watches this video 10 years from now, if somebody watches this video 10 years from now, some archaeologist finds this in a place, maybe they'll be like, oh my God, look, at some point they thought this was actually not true. But this guy said, I can make a machine that moves without propellant. Kind of like a warp drive, so to speak, and accelerate something without, cause a thrust without propellant. It's called an EM drive. This is in June of this year, so that's some guy in NASA, right? And then every single scientist, physicist is like, hold on a second, you're breaking Newton's laws here, you're breaking everything we know about physics, conservation of momentum, everything. This is such a big challenge to science. Where's the evidence? Who else has done this? Has it been replicated? Has it been published? Has the publications been reviewed? When the answers for all those questions were no, then everybody just says, oh, so you didn't invite a warp drive. Okay. Do you see the difference? When one person says the warp drive was invented, he may even be right. But until other people replicate his experiment, analyze his experiment, and then we figure out how it works, we still don't think that that's true. And even when it is true, we still don't say it's true. We just say it's not wrong for now. But even though we don't accept truths, and we question all of them, we can still use them for now, because it's the best we currently have. And because we know that the truth we have right now is the best one we have. So science is both changing and robust. You can trust it to be the best you currently have, but you can trust it that it will continue improving. Right? And it's not a bunch of blind people touching things. We're actually working together trying to figure out what the whole thing is. The other one that says, no, it's a wall! You don't believe it's a wall? Here's an airplane in your building! That's the other side. That's what the other side does. Closed-mindedness. I'm right, you're wrong, you're dying. That's the other side. No, it's scary. I'm serious. The other side is very scary, because the other side is closed-minded. Are you with me what I'm saying? The other side doesn't want to ask questions. The other side has the truth. And you can't tell me I don't know the truth. Right? It doesn't matter what you say. Whatever you tell me, I'm going to ignore it. I have the truth. And that's dangerous, because that's how planes end up in buildings. I'm serious, because sometimes someone just said, that kind of thinking is very dangerous. But at the same time, the kind of thinking that goes, I question everything, nothing is right. That's also dangerous. Because then there's no trust. There's no faith. There's no love. Are you with me what I'm saying? There needs to be balance between both things. But the problem that I introduced this with here, this is very important, is because if we don't have that inkling of curiosity and the inkling of open-mindedness to even learn about things we might think it's wrong, fine. I'll grant to you, evolution is wrong. Prove it to me. And first, before you tell me that it's wrong, learn what it is. Because before you even know what it is, you're going to tell me that it's wrong? For example, such silly arguments. I have no problem with creationism. In fact, I might be one myself. I don't even know yet. I'm trying to understand everything. But one thing I'll tell you for sure is this. When a creationist comes to me and says, well, but Darwin recanted on his bad. He was scared of hell. Even him said he was wrong. First of all, that's a lie. That never happened. Right? So, get some real evidence. You're so used to quoting that things, that lies from some book that someone wrote, that you don't even know if it's true or not. Alright? So, where's the evidence? It doesn't exist. But even if we had recanted, it doesn't matter. The idea was out. And then from that, hundreds of scientists have worked since then on evolution, and there's thousands of experiments. It is not just a theory. It's the best truth we currently have. Right? A hurricane cannot come through a junkyard and then just like build a Ferrari. Believing in evolution, first of all, in evolution, is like saying that would happen. So much wrong with that argument. First of all, scientists don't believe in evolution. Scientists are trying very hard to disprove it. No scientist in their right mind, good ones, defend evolution. The good ones will say, man, we tried, but that shit's holding. That stuff is good. Einstein's theory? Not Einstein's theory. Darwin's theory? That's not evolution today. Einstein introduced natural selection. There are 6 mechanisms of evolution. Darwin was wrong, in fact. He didn't even know about the other ones. It has been modified since then. Like I said, the truth changes. Are you with me what I'm trying to say? So, going back to the argument though. A hurricane could never build a Ferrari. It's ridiculous. A random thing going through a junkyard could not cause order. It could only cause more disorder. Right? There's so much wrong with that. First of all, yes, there's a rule in thermodynamics that says that disorder has to increase. But that just says the disorder has to increase in the universe. But if I take the energy from the universe, I can become more organized as long as the universe becomes disorganized. So yes, a hurricane could build. A tornado could build a Ferrari. So long as the energy to do that came from something else losing something. As long as something loses. So life has a lot of victories, for sure. But at the expense of the energy of the sun. Are you with me? So that's wrong. Second thing that's wrong. Evolution is not random. It actually follows rules. Third thing that's wrong. Hurricanes are not random. It actually follows rules. So it's actually, you're saying that using an example of randomness creating order, right? But it's not random. So see how the problems in logic with the argument, right? And then you say, it's impossible. No way a random event, first of all, it's not random, could create that. Well, it's pretty random to win the lottery. But if there's a lot of tickets, someone wins. Right? Because there are rules. It's not actually random. And in fact, that's the thing. There are 100 billion stars in our galaxy. And then there's billions and billions of stars out there. And billions of galaxies. And each of those galaxies can have stars with lots of planets in them. It is almost certainty that somewhere else in the universe there is life. Because even though the possibility of life is so small by chance, since the universe has a huge number of dice rolls, even if the dice have 3 billion, 100,000 billion sides, are you with me? Once it's going to land on the right side. Because there's so many rolls. Are you with me what I'm trying to say? Almost. We have 5 more minutes, right? Go 45, I think. Why are you guys done? Okay. An unlimited number of rows. So I'll be bold enough to say something that's kind of crazy. But based on this premise that I'm saying here, even a very unlikely event, if there's a small chance that the wind could pick up screws and stuff, it's very unlikely. We're talking about an astronomically small chance. It's like 0.00000. Keep saying zeros for 100 years. And then a 1. But it's not a 0. Are you with me? So somewhere in this universe, a hurricane has made a Ferrari in a junkyard. Because if the universe is big, huge, the way it is, things can happen. And if you start talking about quantum physics, which could be a million different universes out there, it's almost possible. It's almost a certainty that everything that can happen has or will happen at some point. Life is just another example like that. And it's not random. It follows rules. And the last thought that I want to introduce this is super important because this lecture that I just gave you is designed to open your mind to a new way of thinking about the universe. But another thing I need to figure out, and I said this in my videos, but I'll say it again here, is the idea of fact, theory, hypothesis. So let's do that really quick before we leave. So hypothesis versus theory. All right. So science is about understanding things, right? Is the hypothesis made before you understand it or after you understand things? Right. It's actually a thing that you do before you do an experiment, while theories come what? After the experiment. So, hypotheses, what are they really? Guesses. Yes. They are guesses about how two things, the independent variable and the dependent variable, are related to each other. Meanwhile, theories, actually explanations. Explanations. Hypotheses focus on one relationship. One relationship. A theory explains lots of facts. A hypothesis is kind of like, has no evidence for it. It's just based on like your prior knowledge, but it has no evidence. A theory has lots of evidence. Alright? A hypothesis, it's something that needs to be disproven. That's right. Scientists never try to, the way a good scientist says is that, I did it, but I could not disprove my statement. Are you with me? Do you see the difference? So the best way to say is like, the results failed to reject the hypothesis. I could not disprove it. Right? So, but we try. That's what we do. Hypothesis exists to be disproven. Right? Meanwhile, theories have a lot of support. Theories can be supported. Because they are not about a prediction about one thing, there's a lot of facts putting it together. Which means, this is not evolution. Because evolution is not someone's idea about what could be the way one variable affects another. Hell no. Evolution is about a lot of things. A lot of facts. And it's not based, it explains everything there is to know about biology. And it's not about one set of facts, it's about lots of facts, and there's so much evidence for it that, I'm going to say, I said a lot of bold things today, I'm going to say another bold thing here. In the 1600s, Leonardo Da Vinci, right? They made him go to see the, no, Da Vinci, yeah, it was Da Vinci. They made him go to see the Pope because he said the Earth moved, right? Rotated. Oh, that's Copernicus. That's right, Copernicus. So they said, I don't know who it was. One of these scientists in the Middle Ages. He said that the Earth moved, and he was put in house arrest for the rest of his life because he didn't want to say that it didn't. Galileo, that's who he was. Okay. Let me finish this. So Galileo said, Galileo said, it moved. They made him go back on what he said. They made him publish something that said I was wrong. Otherwise he was going to be burned at the stake or crucified or something. God knows. Actually, it was going to probably be his head cut off. So, and then he said, no, the Earth moves. The Earth, the center of our solar system is the sun, like Copernicus said. Basically, it forced him to go back. After he died, he had one of his disciples publish another book that says, actually, the church made me go back to my word. This is what I really mean. Right? And they also say this, that as he walked out of the Pope's chambers, he whispered, but it moves. Right? Galileo was put on trial for what he thought as a scientist, not believed in. What he had evidence for was the current best truth he currently had. Right? You want to be the person that's like, oh, I was there saying evolution happens. Because that's the thing. There's just enough, there's more evidence that evolution happens than we go around the sun. We might be wrong about the sun thing, but we're right about evolution. Understand what I'm trying to say? Actually, we're not wrong.
At the entrance and by middle school basketball.
Are you with me? It is the best explanation we currently have. And with that in mind, if you haven't watched my videos, watch them. Next time we're going to answer these questions. Alright guys? Yes, wait, hold on. Matthew has a comment. Yes, ma'am. What? After. That's perfect. Awesome having it. Thank you guys. See you next class. It's a test next class. It is the day of doom. It is the day of extinction. It is the survival of the fittest.
Mr. Lima, you remind me of Geo. You know why?
Why is that?